Chapter 2811. Doof, Huaner's Grandaunt. 1,000 Phantom Mice Fox. A 1 in a million rare existence in the Phantom Fox clan. In the eyes of the Phantom Fox clan, 1,000 Phantom Mice Foxes were a symbol and were revered. They were so rare that they had become almost a legend. Yes, my mother told me that I'm 1,000 Phantom Mice Fox. Huaner nodded. Who's your mother? What's her name? The woman asked. Huaner frowned and thought for a while before saying, her name seems to be Duxuan. Duxuan? Upon hearing Juana's words, the woman's eyes widened. She asked eagerly, are there 2 small moles on the corner of your mother's right eye? She looked at Huaner expectantly as she waited for Huaner's reply. How do you know that? Huaner was shocked. She looked at the woman intently as she asked, do you know my mother? Your mother is my niece. Her father is my brother. The woman's eyes were brimming with excitement as she looked at Huaner. She murmured, you're Xuana's daughter, huh? I didn't expect her to have kids. Moreover, you're a rare 1,000 Phantom Mice Fox. Great. This is great. My mother is your niece. Then, that means you're my... Huaner was stunned by the woman's revelation. She did not expect to meet a relative in the little world. You should call me Grandaunt since you're my grandniece, the woman said excitedly. Meanwhile, Duan Lingtan stood at the side, clearly in shock. The woman who possessed the royal-grade celestial weapon, the mystical Yin water chestnut ring, was not only from the Phantom Fox clan, but she was also Huaner's Grandaunt. At this moment, he felt as though he was living in a novel. He did not expect there would be such a coincidence in this world. It's truly a surprise that I, Doof, would meet Xuana's daughter before the remnants of my soul dissipate. Moreover, you're 1,000 Phantom Mice Fox as well. Even after my soul vanishes, I'll have no regrets, the woman said with a sigh. It was clear the woman's name was Doof. My child, what's your name? Doof looked at Huaner. Huaner was still in a daze. It felt as though she was dreaming. Who knew she had other relatives in the world apart from her mother? Huaner. What a nice name. Doof nodded before she asked, why did you enter this little world? Where's your mother? Is she okay? Hearing Doof's question, Huaner suddenly looked down. My mother passed away long ago. Huaner recounted everything that had happened to her slowly in response to Doof's question. You're just a teenager? Doof was stunned when she heard Huaner's words. Although the remnants of her soul only possessed strength comparable to a peak great overarching golden celestial, she still had the spiritual knowledge of a celestial king. Thus, she could easily detect Huaner's cultivation base and discovered that Huaner was an Earth-rank overarching heavenly supreme celestial. How could a teenager be an Earth-rank overarching heavenly supreme celestial? However, after a moment, Doof seemed to recall something. Well, you're 1,000 Phantom Mice Fox after all. You're naturally talented. Moreover, your mother left you a divine crystal. It's not impossible for you to achieve such a feat. She sighed dejectedly as she continued to say, since your mother has passed away, I'm guessing that something has happened in your family. Based on what Doof could remember, her niece had a marriage alliance with one of the most powerful families in the Phantom Fox clan. However, her niece broke the marriage alliance, so there was no way that family would let matters slide. Moreover, if that family knew her niece had sex with a human and gave birth to Huaner, 1,000 Phantom Mice Fox, that family would definitely go to great lengths to kill Huaner. After all, once Huaner became strong enough, that families standing in the Phantom Fox clan would fall. They would definitely do everything in their power to prevent that from happening. What's the matter? Huaner asked anxiously. I won't tell you the specifics because it won't do you any good. With your talent, you might be able to help your mother and our entire family in 1,000 years once you've grown stronger. Doof sighed. She did not wait for Huaner to respond as she looked at Duan Lingtan and said, boy, after listening to Huaner, I'm certain you're a trustworthy person. It must be fate that Huaner met you. Doof continued to say, I can't give her the secrets of the Phantom Fox clan. However, since Huaner is 1,000 Phantom Mice Fox and has inherited the memories of the 1,000 Phantom Mice Foxes, she doesn't need those secrets. You're human, I can't tell you the secrets of the clan as well. However, I can give you all the power that's left in my soul remnants. As she trailed off, The huge phantom fox disappeared as well. After a few moments, her body became more and more translucent. At the same time, a strong yet gentle force rippled out of her body and swept toward Lingtan. Huaner could sense the force was not malicious, so she did not make a move. However, her expression changed drastically. She knew what Doof was trying to do. Grandaunt, what are you doing? Huaner, I've died a long time ago. This is just the remnants of my soul. They'll dissipate sooner or later. I'm going to help him before they disappear. Since your mother and I have passed away, I'll leave you in his care. Doof grew even more and more translucent after she finished speaking. Her power poured into Lingtan's body continuously. At the same time, Lingtan felt his celestial origin energy boiling with power in his body. He could clearly feel Doof's power surging into his body. Doof's voice rang in Lingtan's ears. Remember this method. Due to the clan rules, I can't teach you the Phantom Fox clan's cultivation method. I obtained this cultivation method, the Tai Profound method, by accident. It's a king-grade cultivation method. With your talent, you can easily break through and become a celestial king with its help. Suddenly, Doof exclaimed in surprise, "Oh, you have 99 heavenly veins like 1,000 phantom ice fox. It seems like you and Huaner are made for each other. You're just as talented as her." Boy, I don't have much time left. Remember this, before Huaner becomes a celestial emperor, don't let the Phantom Fox clan know about her existence. Doof continued to say in a solemn tone, "Remember my words. If someone from the Phantom Fox clan finds out that Huaner is 1,000 phantom ice fox before she grows strong, unless they're from the Doo family, you must do everything in your power to kill them. Otherwise, Huaner would be in danger. As for Peiyuan, I'll leave him a memory celestial talisman before my soul dissipates. Please pass it over to him. If he still remembers our past friendship, he'll look out for both of you." Doof disappeared, and Lingtan discovered her power had disappeared from his body as well. Moreover, he discovered that he had also completely mastered the king-grade cultivation method, the Tai Profound method. If he did not join the Tai Celestial sect, he would have been unaware of the existence of king-grade cultivation methods. He had learned about their existence from the 3 celestial alchemists in Tai Celestial sect. After joining Tai Celestial sect, Lingtan had wanted to change his cultivation method. There were several heaven-grade cultivation methods in the sect and one duke-grade cultivation method. It would not be difficult for him to ask for a heaven-grade cultivation method, but the same could not be said for the duke-grade cultivation method. One needed to make great contributions to the Tai Celestial sect before they could cultivate the duke-grade cultivation method. It was at that time that he learned, apart from being divided into yellow, profound, earth, and heaven grades, cultivation methods were also divided into duke, king, royal, and emperor grades. The higher the grade of the cultivation method, the stronger one's celestial origin energy would be. Moreover, the higher the grade of the cultivation method, the faster one's cultivation speed would be. With a fast cultivation speed, it would not take long for one to break through and become a celestial duke, a celestial king, a celestial lord, and a celestial emperor. Naturally, it had to depend on one's talent as well. If one were untalented, one would not be able to become a celestial duke even if one possessed a high-grade cultivation method. On the other hand, if one were talented, one would be able to become a celestial duke, a celestial king, a celestial lord, and a celestial emperor even if one only cultivated a heaven-grade cultivation method. Most importantly, in comparison to duke-grade cultivation methods, king-grade cultivation methods were extremely rare. Chapter 2812, Leaving the Little World. It was very difficult for a celestial king to cultivate a royal-grade cultivation method. It was more suitable for a celestial king to cultivate a king-grade cultivation method. Similarly, it was difficult for a celestial lord to cultivate an emperor-grade cultivation method, and it was more suitable for a celestial lord to cultivate a royal-grade cultivation method. For these reasons, it was almost impossible to break through and become a celestial king by just cultivating a heaven-rank celestial method. At most, one would break through and become a celestial duke with a heaven-grade cultivation method. After becoming a celestial duke, one could start cultivating a duke-grade cultivation method to become a celestial king. Needless to say, it was easier for one to have a breakthrough and become a celestial king with a duke-grade cultivation method compared to a heaven-rank cultivation method. However, if a celestial duke cultivated a king-grade cultivation method, it would certainly be much easier to become a celestial king. Based on this, it was clear that the grades of cultivation methods were very important. A king-grade cultivation method. It's actually a king-grade cultivation method. Even in such a powerful sect like the Taiyi Celestial Sect, there's only one duke-grade cultivation method. Let alone the Taiyi Celestial Sect, I don't think there's any king-grade cultivation method in the wasteland. After Guan Lingtan circulated the celestial origin energy in his body once, his attention was completely focused on the king-grade cultivation method. The Taiyi profound method that Doof had given him. He was still in shock. It was a king-grade cultivation method after all. Before this, a king-grade cultivation method was something he did not even dream about obtaining. Grandaunt. Huaner's sorrowful voice brought Guan Lingtan back to his senses. He saw Huaner standing with tears in her eyes. She looked so pitiful that it caused his heart to ache. He could vaguely see a celestial talisman in Huaner's right hand. That should be the memory celestial talisman left behind by Doof. He remembered Doof had asked them to pass it over to Pei Yuan Jim, whom he had known as Brother Pei. With this thought in mind, Guan Lingtan recalled the task that Pei Yuan Jim had given him. The mystical Yin-9 water chestnut ring. He looked up and saw the mystical Yin-9 water chestnut ring, a royal-grade celestial weapon, was already in Huaner's left hand. Brother Lingtan. Huaner tried to calm down after taking a few deep breaths. She looked at Guan Lingtan and said, "My grandaunt told me earlier that the little world she left behind will disappear in 15 minutes after her soul dissipates. At that time, we'll be sent out to the entrance." Guan Lingtan nodded. He comforted her for a moment before he handed the things he found in the little world to Huaner that were useful to him, such as king-grade celestial weapons and celestial pills, so she could store them in her spatial ring. Needless to say, the royal-grade celestial weapons, the mystical Yin-9 water chestnut ring and the mystical Yang-9 water chestnut ring, were also kept in Huaner's spatial ring. At the same time, he kept some duke-grade celestial weapons, celestial pills, and medicinal ingredients he did not need in his spatial ring. Naturally, Guan Lingtan had done all of this in case Bai Ping, the sect leader of the Taiyi Celestial Sect, checked his spatial ring. He did not think it was likely, but it was better to be prepared. Meanwhile, outside the little world, crack, crack. Two cracking noises reverberated in the air, shocking the people from the three major celestial sects of the wasteland whose attention was focused on the soul pearls. Their expressions turned grim at this moment. The soul pearls of the two great overarching golden celestials from the Taiyi Celestial Sect who had entered the little world had shattered. Only one soul pearl was left hovering next to Bai Ping at this moment. What the hell is going on? Is this little world so dangerous? Another two great overarching golden celestials died. Currently, only one great overarching golden celestial from the Martial Dragon Celestial Sect and Master Juan from the Taiyi Celestial Sect are still alive. Wait, Feng Guang is still alive as well. I wonder, did he find a place to hide? The high-ranking officials from the Martial Dragon Celestial Sect and the Thousand Spiders Sect whispered among themselves, horrified by how dangerous the little world was and amazed by Feng Guang's luck. It was truly a miracle that Feng Guang was still alive. After all, 5 of the 6 great overarching golden celestials whom they had sent into the little world had died one after another. However, Feng Guang, a violet sun golden celestial, was still alive. In the little world, the sky and the ground were stained red. Black and yellow stones decorated the blood-red ground. A blood-red sabre merged with the body of a black-clad young man who was hovering in the blood-red sky. He murmured to himself, "A duke-grade cultivation method." Senior Jim must have been extremely talented to be able to break through and become a celestial king with a duke-grade cultivation method. In any case, He's not the celestial king who created this little world. This little world is created by a celestial king, a woman, from the Phantom Fox clan. Moreover, she was a 10-direction celestial king. That's the peak for all celestial kings. The inheritance I found is only left behind by celestial king who was the woman's subordinate. He was only a 5-element celestial king. If Duan Lingtan were here, he would identify this young man with just a glance. The young man was none other than Feng Wujiguang. After Huaner had rescued Feng Wujiguang, he had arrived at this place and found the inheritance from a 5-element celestial king. Not only did he obtain the cultivation method of that celestial king, but he also obtained high-grade celestial methods and divine abilities from that celestial king. Although he had obtained all these treasures, he had yet to comprehend or completely master them. He would need time to completely comprehend and master them. Otherwise, he would not be able to bring out their full potential. Fortunately, the king-grade celestial weapon left by Senior Ji can conceal its aura. With the cultivation method, I can hide it in the heavenly veins of my body. Otherwise, the martial dragon celestial sect would definitely confiscate it. Feng Wujiguang sighed in relief. After Feng Wujiguang arrived at this place, apart from the cultivation method, celestial methods, and divine abilities, he had also obtained a king-grade celestial weapon. Thanks to the inheritance left by Senior Ji, I successfully broke through and became a yellow rank great overarching golden celestial. He felt his emotions stir when he felt the improvement in his strength. Meanwhile, another person also felt emotional upon sensing the improvement in his strength. This person was Duan Lingtan. Isn't this the celestial origin energy of an overarching heavenly supreme celestial? Before Duan Lingtan left the little world, he studied the changes in his celestial origin energy. He discovered that his celestial origin energy had undergone a qualitative transformation and was vastly different from before. If the celestial origin energy in his body before was like iron, then, currently, his celestial origin energy was like steel. Iron could only be made into steel after intensive refining. After all, after discovering he had become a yellow rank overarching heavenly supreme celestial, Duan Lingtan looked at the spot where Doof had stood earlier and murmured, "Senior Doof, thank you." A grateful expression could be seen on his face. On the other hand, Huaner, who heard Duan Lingtan mention Doof, was filled with grief. After a while, Duan Lingtan said to Huaner, "Huaner, time is almost up. Use the invisibility talisman now." As soon as he finished speaking, Huaner disappeared as though she was never there at all. After 10 breaths had passed, Duan Lingtan felt his vision go black. When he finally opened his eyes, he discovered he was at the clearing where the entrance of the little world was located. He discovered 2 other people next to him. There are others who are alive? He was rather surprised. Let alone 2 people, he did not expect anyone, apart from him and Huaner, to survive the little world at all. Feng Wujiguang? Duan Lingtan was even more shocked when he saw one of the 2 survivors. It was Feng Wujiguang, the person he had met in the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom and the person whom Huaner had saved in the little world. Duan Lingtan also recognized the other person as a great overarching golden celestial younger than 100 years old from the martial dragon celestial sect. Meanwhile, the high-ranking officials from the 3 major celestial sects of the wasteland had discovered the survivors' presence. "They've returned. They're back, Master Duan." Bai Ping cried out. His expression seemed to brighten. Previously, he was still rather upset by the deaths of the 2 great overarching golden celestials from the Taiyi celestial sect. Soon enough, the people from the Taiyi celestial sect discovered the little world had disappeared. After a moment, people began to swarm toward Duan Lingtan and the 2 survivors. Chapter 2813, All eyes on Feng Wujiguang. When the high-ranking officials of the 3 major celestial sects of the wasteland gathered around the 3 survivors, Duan Lingtan was looking at the distance. Huaner. At this moment, Huaner's figure gradually appeared in the space where the high-ranking officials of the 3 major sects of the wasteland were standing earlier. It seemed as though she had appeared out of thin air. Bai Ping, the sect leader of Taiyi celestial sect, noticed Yuan Lingtan's gaze and turned to look back. He saw Huaner standing at the place where he was standing earlier. It did not take long before the high-ranking officials from the Taiyi celestial sect discovered Huaner's presence as well. Huaner? When did she show up? Perhaps she was around here all along. It's possible she only returned after sensing Master Yuan has come out of the little world. Bai Ping shook his head as he thought to himself, I thought Miss Huaner had returned to Taiyi City. Who knew she was around here all along? The people from the Martial Dragon Celestial Sect and Thousand Spiders Celestial Sect also discovered Huaner's presence. Similarly, they thought Huaner was close by all along and had returned when she sensed Yuan Lingtan had come out of the little world. No one would expect that she had also just come out of the little world. Meanwhile, Huaner stood apart from the others. She made no move to join the crowd. Yuan Lingtan and the other two were the focus of attention of the high-ranking officials from the three major celestial sects of the wasteland. Master Yuan, is it dangerous in the little world? 5 out of the 6 great overarching golden celestials under the age of 100 whom we sent into the little world died in there. An elder from the Taiyi celestial sect asked Yuan Lingtan. Upon hearing this question, the others who were clamoring to ask questions fell silent immediately. All of them looked at Yuan Lingtan, quietly waiting for his answer. At this moment, Yuan Lingtan sent a voice transmission to Feng Wujiguang. Feng Wujiguang, if you feel grateful to Huaner for saving your life, don't tell anyone that you saw her in the little world. Although the high-ranking officials of the 3 major celestial sects of the wasteland might not believe Feng Wujiguang even if he revealed he saw Huaner in the little world, Yuan Lingtan still wanted to minimize the risk. For this reason, he sent a reminder to Feng Wujiguang. He could see Feng Wujiguang was not an ingrate. Otherwise, he would not have wasted his time talking to Feng Wujiguang and would have directly solved the problem himself. When Feng Wujiguang came out from the little world, he did not see Huaner, so he assumed something had happened to her in the little world. He was, naturally, startled when he saw her standing in the distance, alive and kicking. He was confused when he heard the words of the people from the Taiyi celestial sect earlier. Did Huaner not enter little world? Why did the people from the Taiyi celestial sect seem unaware of that? He was even more confused when he received Yuan Lingtan's voice transmission. Nevertheless, he did not hesitate as he replied through voice transmission, Yuan Lingtan, you can rest assured. I'm not the type of person who bites the hand that feeds me. He decided to ask Yuan Lingtan about Huaner later. After all, this was clearly not the time for questions. After receiving Feng Wujiguang's reply, Yuan Lingtan looked at the elder from the Taiyi celestial sect and calmly said, it's very dangerous. I almost died twice after entering the little world. Fortunately, I managed to escape unscathed. Yuan Lingtan continued to say, indeed, there are king-grade celestial weapons in there, but one must go through extremely tough tests and obstacles to obtain them. Based on my experience, one must be a great overarching golden celestial at least to obtain a king-grade celestial weapon. An earth-rank grade overarching golden celestial with a duke-grade celestial weapon in hand would need to master multiple heaven-grade celestial methods and divine abilities to pass the tests. The crowd remained silent when they heard Yuan Lingtan's words. Earth-rank great overarching golden celestial. In the entire wasteland, there were only a few yellow-rank great overarching golden celestials below the age of 100, let alone an earth-rank great overarching golden celestial below the age of 100. Such existence was few and far in between in the wasteland. In fact, there was no one like that in the past 10,000 years in the wasteland. So, it's almost impossible for anyone who enters to obtain a king-grade celestial weapon? An elder of the Thousand Spiders celestial sects asked in a deep voice. I can't speak for everyone. There might be easy or obstacles to obtaining king-grade celestial weapons. However, the obstacles and tests I encountered require tremendous strength and ability. Yuan Lingtan said. At this time, Shai Kongyu, the sect leader of Martial Dragon Celestial Sect, approached the great overarching golden celestial from his sect and asked, Wang Hai, what did you gain in the little world? Sect leader. Wang Hai smiled bitterly. He removed his ownership over the spatial ring that had been given to him and passed it over to Chai Kongyu. Take a look. Chai Kongyu's expression was solemn as he looked through the spatial ring. As time passed, the frown on his face deepened. They're all Duke-grade celestial weapons. And the celestial pills are also very common. If the little world had sent us out any later, I'm afraid you wouldn't be able to see me alive, sect leader, Wang Hai said with a wry smile. Before I was sent out, I saw a celestial weapon. I have a feeling it's a king-grade celestial weapon. However, the beast guarding it was extremely strong. It was far stronger than me. It had discovered me and its divine consciousness was locked on me. I thought I was going to die. Fortunately, at the critical moment, the little world sent me out. He sighed in relief after he finished speaking. At this moment, Feng Wujiguang stepped forward and handed his spatial ring over to Chai Kongyu. Sect leader, this is my spatial ring. Chai Kongyu did not have any expectations for the content in Feng Wujiguang's spatial ring. After taking a look, he confirmed his thoughts. He casually tossed the spatial ring back to Feng Wujiguang and said disdainfully, "You don't even have one Duke-grade celestial weapon. It's already a miracle that you're alive." Feng Wujiguang, an elder from the Martial Dragon Celestial Sect, curiously asked, "Feng Wujiguang, tell us, how did you survive in the little world? Out of the 6 great overarching golden celestials we sent in there, 5 of them died." "Yes," an elder of the Thousand Spiders Celestial Sects said, "so many Violet Sun Golden Celestials entered the little world. However, you're the only surviving Violet Sun Golden Celestials. How did you do it?" While everyone was waiting for Feng Wujiguang's answer, Tai He, the Supreme Elder of Tai Yi Celestial Sect, widened his eyes in surprise. He asked, "Feng Wujiguang, you had a breakthrough in the little world? Is that why you survived?" A breakthrough. Upon hearing Tai He's words, many high-ranking officials from the 3 major celestial sects of the wasteland extended their divine consciousness to probe Feng Wujiguang. He really had a breakthrough. Feng Wujiguang is now a yellow-rank great overarching golden celestial. No wonder he survived in there. As it turns out, he's no longer a Violet Sun Golden Celestial and has become a great overarching Golden Celestial. All the high-ranking officials from the 3 major celestial sects of the wasteland were of the opinion that Feng Wujiguang had survived the little world because he had broken through and become a great overarching Golden Celestial. Feng Wujiguang did not explain himself. What could he say? Could he tell them that he survived because he found the inheritance of a celestial king? He knew it was better to remain silent. If he spoke up, he would attract unnecessary questions. "Feng Wujiguang, you actually had a breakthrough and became a great overarching golden celestial. Congratulations," Chai Kongyu said. Compared to his attitude before, he was much more polite now that he discovered Feng Wujiguang was a great overarching golden celestial. After all, Feng Wujiguang was a disciple of the Martial Dragon Celestial Sect. Previously, he was just a Violet Sun Golden Celestial. Although he was talented, it was not the point where the sect leader of Martial Dragon Celestial Sect placed any importance on him. However, currently, he had become a great overarching golden celestial before he even reached the age of 100. With this, he would definitely be one of the pillars of the Martial Dragon Celestial Sect when he grew stronger. How could the sect leader of the Martial Dragon Celestial Sect not cherish such a talent? If I had known how dangerous that little world was, I wouldn't have let them enter and risk their lives. In the end, the Martial Dragon Celestial Sect has the last laugh. The expressions of the high-ranking officials of the Thousand Spiders Celestial Sect were dark. It was only natural since the powerhouses below the age of 100 from the Thousand Spiders Celestial Sects all died in the little world. The Martial Dragon Celestial Sect still had 2 great overarching golden celestials below the age of 100. In comparison, their sect really suffered a big loss. Once the 2 great overarching golden celestials grew stronger in the future, they would definitely pose a threat to the Thousand Spiders Celestial Sect. Great overarching golden celestial? Duan Lingtan was also surprised to learn that Feng Wujiguang had broken through and become a great overarching golden celestial in the little world. At the same time, the question on his mind was finally answered. No wonder he managed to come out of the little world. No wonder he Chapter 2814, Where's Brother Pei? Sect Leader, I failed to obtain a king-grade celestial weapon as well. I only managed to obtain a variety of duke-grade celestial weapons, celestial pills, and medicinal herbs. Duan Lingtan was not in a rush to go to Huaner. He smiled at Bai Ping, the sect leader of Tai Yi Celestial Sect, and said, "Do you want to check my spatial ring, or should I hand them over when we return to the sect?" Bai Ping shook his head and replied, "Master Duan, you must be joking. How can I not trust your words? Moreover, if I planned to check your spatial ring, I would have given you an empty spatial ring before you entered the little world." He did not doubt Duan Lingtan's words. After all, the great overarching golden celestial below the age of 100 from the martial dragon celestial sect had also failed to obtain a king-grade celestial weapon from the little world. It was no surprise that Duan Lingtan failed as well. In his opinion, although Duan Lingtan was stronger than the other great overarching golden celestials below the age of 100, the difference in their strength was not too big. After a brief pause, Bai Ping said regretfully, "Unexpectedly, 5 great overarching golden celestials had died. Fortunately, Master Duan is alive. If I had known it was so dangerous in there, I would have stopped you from entering the little world." Duan Lingtan smiled. "Although I didn't obtain any treasures, it was still a good way to train." Soon after, Duan Lingtan excused himself and flew in the air, making his way to Huaner, who was waiting for him in the distance. Meanwhile, the high-rank officials of the 3 major sects of the wasteland were regretting their decision to send young powerhouses into the little world. Not only did they fail to obtain king-grade celestial weapons, but they also suffered a huge loss when they lost so many outstanding talents. If the young powerhouses did not die, their future was undoubtedly bright. Alas, only 3 people survived: Sect Leader Bai and Sect Leader Chai. Farewell. Jian Kuliuo, the sect leader of Thousand Spiders Celestial Sect, and the members left with heavy hearts. The deaths of so many talented young powerhouses in the little world was a difficult pill for them to swallow. Although the Tai Yi Celestial Sect shared the same fate as the Thousand Spiders Celestial Sect, they were slightly better off since Duan Lingtan was alive and well. Meanwhile, the gloomy expressions of the high-ranking officials Martial Dragon Celestial Sect eased up when they thought about the loss that the Thousand Spiders Celestial Sect had suffered. Sect Leader Bai, farewell. Shai Kongyu, the sect leader of Martial Dragon Celestial Sect, and his men left as well. Before the people of Martial Dragon Celestial Sect left, Feng Guang was communicating with Duan Lingtan through voice transmission as he looked at Huaner. Duan Lingtan, didn't Lady Huaner enter the little world as well? Why is everyone unaware of this? That's because she used an invisibility talisman, Duan Lingtan replied truthfully. An invisibility talisman? An invisibility talisman that allows one to go completely unnoticed by the sect leaders of the 3 major celestial sects of the wasteland. It has to be inscribed by someone who's a celestial lord, at least, right? Duan Lingtan did not answer Feng Guang. After all, the answer was obvious. Feng Guang found Duan Lingtan and Huaner even more mysterious after speaking to Duan Lingtan. How did these 2 people possess an invisibility talisman inscribed by a celestial lord? Who were they? Although he knew very little about the duo, he had no doubt the duo had extraordinary backgrounds. When I was still in the Soaring Dragon Celestial Kingdom, I heard Lady Huaner is an overarching heavenly supreme celestial. She even effortlessly killed an elder from the Zhe clan who was an earth-rank overarching heavenly supreme celestial. Rumor had it that she hasn't even reached the age of 100. Later on, someone claimed to have investigated her age and dispelled the rumor. It's not that surprising that the spirit overarching heaven has an overarching heavenly supreme celestial below the age of 100. However, it seems unlikely for someone like that to stay in an insignificant place like the wasteland. In any case, since she's able to enter the little world, it seems like the rumor about her being younger than 100 years old is true. That aside, I would have died in the little world if it weren't because of them. I would not have the chance to obtain the inheritance from Senior Ji. I must repay their kindness. Various thoughts ran through Feng Guang's mind as he left with the people from the Martial Dragon Celestial Sect. If Feng Guang did not obtain the inheritance from a five-elements celestial king, he would not have the confidence to say he would repay the duo's kindness. After all, his strength was insignificant compared to theirs. Duan Lingtan and Huaner were unaware that Feng Guang had obtained the inheritance from one of Duf's men. They only knew Duf was the celestial king who created the little world. They were also unaware that Duf was a 10 directions celestial king, the strongest of all celestial kings. Duf was only a step away from becoming a celestial lord. Meanwhile, Duan Lingtan and Huaner followed the people from the Taiyi celestial sect to return to the sect's estate in Taiyi city. Huaner, what did Senior Duf tell you before she passed away? Duan Lingtan sent a voice transmission to Huaner during their journey back. Grandaunt told me to follow you and listen to your words. She also wants me to hand the memory celestial talisman to you so you can pass it over to Brother Pei. Huaner replied through voice transmission. She felt sad when Duf was mentioned. Sensing the change in Huaner's mood, Duan Lingtan quickly consoled her. Huaner, your grandaunt passed away a long time ago. When she entrusted you to me, she told me she was happy to have met you before her soul dissipates. Anyway, when we arrive at the sect's estate, pass the memory celestial talisman to me. He tried to change the topic to distract Huaner. After Huaner calmed down, Duan Lingtan was lost in his thoughts. I remember Brother Pei saying he would come after I leave the little world to collect the royal grade celestial weapons, the mystical Yang 9 water chestnut ring and the mystical Yin 9 water chestnut ring. Why didn't he come? Did he encounter a difficult situation in the compassionate celestial traveler sect? It has been so long but he still hasn't returned. Did something happen to him? He felt worried. After all, Brother Pei, or Pei Yuan, had gone to the compassionate celestial traveler sect because of him. He would not be able to forgive himself if something happened to Pei Yuan. Although he did not know where the compassionate celestial traveler sect was based, it should not take Pei Yuan such a long time. After all, Pei Yuan was a one basic celestial king. Moreover, with Pei Yuan's cultivation base, it seemed unlikely that something untoward had happened to him. So where did Pei Yuan go? I wonder if it has something to do with the force that the compassionate celestial traveler sect wanted to form an alliance with by marrying Murongbing off. Impossible. Zuxiuku has already said it was just a lie. There must be another reason. Duan Lingtan thought to himself worriedly. In the end, he dismissed his worries. Forget it. Let's wait a little longer. Perhaps Brother Pei has something to attend to. In any case, there are very few people who could pose a threat to Brother Pei in the wasteland since he's a one basic celestial king. Let's wait until I return to Taiyi city first. Who knows, Brother Pei might already be waiting for me there. Even if that's not the case, he'll know how to contact me through the 13th prince. Soon after, Duan Lingtan's thoughts drifted to a different matter. My biggest gain in the little world isn't obtaining king-grade celestial weapons. It's the improvement in my cultivation base. If I tried breaking through from a great overarching golden celestial to an overarching heavenly supreme celestial, even with the help of extraordinary celestial pills and Huaner's divine crystal, it would have taken me a long time. However, after entering the little world, I successfully broke through. I'm now an overarching heavenly supreme celestial. His eyes shone as bright as the stars in the sky when he thought about this. Bright as the stars in Chapter 2815, The Alchemy Conference. When they returned to the Taiyi celestial sect's estate, Duan Lingtan took the memory celestial talisman and the two royal grade celestial weapons from Huaner and stored them in his spatial ring. At this moment, three familiar voices rang out in unison. Master Duan. Duan Lingtan was taken aback. Why are they here? He knew the voices belonged to the three prominent celestial alchemists in the Taiyi celestial sect, Master Situ, Master Yang, Master Yu. What brings you here? Huaner had entered her own room when Duan Lingtan invited Situ Ming, Yang Chong, and Yu Zongjing into his front courtyard. Master Duan, we heard about what happened from the sect leader. You barely escaped death in the little world. Situ Ming said solemnly. If we knew how dangerous the little world was, we would have stopped you no matter what, Yang Chong added. That's right, Yu Zongjing chimed in. Barely escaped death? That's too much of an exaggeration. I'm out and alive, aren't I? Duan Lingtan shook his head and smiled. Naturally, no one knew Duan Lingtan was aware of how dangerous the little world was before he even entered it. Moreover, he knew as long as he had Huaner by his side, he was not in any danger. Due to various reasons, he had to keep all these a secret. How is it an exaggeration? Master Duan, we heard that out of so many people who entered the little world, everyone, except for you, one great overarching golden celestial, and one violet sun golden celestial, died. Yang Chong's expression grew increasingly solemn as he spoke. That's right. Excluding you, only 2 people survived. Moreover, one of them only managed to survive because he had a breakthrough and became a great overarching golden celestial in the little world, Situ Ming said as he nodded. Barely escaped death and obtained nothing. It's really not worth it, Yu Zongjin said. Duan Lingtan could feel the sincerity of these 3 prominent celestial alchemists, and a warm feeling flooded his heart. He quickly changed the topic since he was uncomfortable with the current topic. That's right. 3 masters. Does the sect possess any Duke-grade celestial methods and divine abilities? Since Duan Lingtan had become an overarching heavenly supreme celestial and obtained the king-grade cultivation method, the Te Profound method, he hoped to master high-grade celestial techniques and divine abilities. The only heaven-grade he possessed was his assist-type divine ability, the elementary devouring tactic. The others were only earth-grade divine abilities. As for his celestial method, the Supreme Sword Dao Mental Cultivation Method, the Sovereign Heart Sword, was also only comparable to an earth-grade celestial method. Cultivation methods, divine abilities, and celestial methods all shared the same grading system. Above the heaven grade, there were Duke grade, King grade, Royal grade, and Emperor grade. Duan Lingtan thought that if the Taiyi celestial sect possessed Duke-grade celestial methods and divine abilities, he was open to mastering them and replacing his Earth-grade celestial methods and divine abilities. However, if they only had Heaven-grade celestial methods and divine abilities, he would not attempt to master them. After all, it would only be a waste of his time. By the time he completely mastered them, who knew if he would obtain Duke-grade celestial methods and divine abilities? There is a Duke-grade celestial method. It's a movement celestial method. Apart from that, the sect also has an offensive and an assist-type Duke-grade divine ability. If Master Duan wants to cultivate the Duke-grade celestial method and divine abilities, we'll accompany you to speak to the sect leader about it. I don't think he'll refuse you. After all, the sect places importance on the Duke-grade cultivation method more than the Duke-grade celestial method and divine abilities, Situ Ming said. Yes, I'm afraid we won't be of much help if Master Duan wants to master the Duke-grade cultivation method. However, if it's the Duke-grade celestial method and divine abilities, we'll be able to persuade the sect leader, Yang Chong added. That's right. Yu Zongjing nodded in agreement. If that's the case, 3 masters, please follow me, Duan Lingtan said. His eyes brightened when he heard the words of the 3 prominent celestial alchemists. Duan Lingtan did not expect the Taiyi celestial sect would possess Duke-grade celestial method and divine abilities. Who knew he would have a chance to master them when he had casually asked about it? He was indeed interested in the Duke-grade celestial method in the sect. As for the Duke-grade divine abilities, Duan Lingtan was only interested in the offensive divine ability. After all, he had already mastered the elementary devouring tactic, a heaven-grade assist-type divine ability. Before he could fully master it, its strength would still be weaker than the elementary devouring tactic, and by the time he mastered it, he was confident he would have already obtained a higher-grade assist-type divine ability. Therefore, he was not interested in the assist-type Duke-grade divine ability. He had to choose wisely. As expected, when Duan Lingtan and 3 prominent celestial alchemists spoke to Beiping, the sect leader of Taiyi Celestial Sect, Beiping readily handed the Duke-grade celestial method and divine abilities to Duan Lingtan. Master Guang, I would have given you the Duke-grade celestial method and divine abilities even if the three prominent celestial alchemists didn't speak up for you. However, due to the rules of the sect, I can't give you the Duke-grade cultivation method. Bai Ping said bluntly. He knew that Yuan Lingtan had long wanted to master the Duke-grade cultivation method of the Taiyi celestial sect. However, he was unaware that the current Yuan Lingtan had lost interest in the Duke-grade cultivation method. After all, Doof, a 10 directions celestial duke, had given him a king-grade cultivation method, the Ti profound method, when he was in the little world. Thank you, sect leader. Regardless, Yuan Lingtan was still grateful to Bai Ping. Before they left Bai Ping's residence, Yang Chong seemed to have recalled something and said, Master Yuan, if you are in search of other celestial methods and divine abilities, there will be a chance for you soon. The Alchemy Conference is coming up in 2 years. The Alchemy Conference? Yuan Lingtan appeared confused. It was his first time hearing about the Alchemy Conference. After all, every 30 years, the wasteland and the surrounding regions would come together to organize the Alchemy Conference. Celestial alchemists from the wasteland and other regions can have discussions and exchange ideas with each other. It's a great learning opportunity. Since there would undoubtedly be disagreements and disputes between celestial alchemists, many people would compete in alchemy to prove their points. More often than not, celestial alchemists would wager their Duke-grade celestial methods or divine abilities. There are many 2-in-1 Duke-grade celestial methods and divine abilities such as an offensive and defensive divine ability. Although it's rare, there are also 3-in-1 Duke-grade celestial methods or divine abilities. Situ Ming explained. 2-in-1 and 3-in-1 Duke-grade celestial methods or divine abilities? Yuan Lingtan's breathing quickened when he heard Situ Ming's words. In the Devata realms, there were single-trait, double-trait, and triple-trait celestial methods and divine abilities. A single-trait celestial method and divine ability were definitely incomparable to celestial methods or divine abilities with double or triple traits that were made up of the offensive, defensive, movement, or assistive traits. After all, it would take one a long time to master 2 single-trait celestial methods or divine abilities. It would definitely be faster if one could master a double-trait or triple-trait celestial method or divine ability. One could obtain the same result with a lesser time. Who would not choose a double-trait or triple-trait celestial method or divine ability over single-trait celestial methods and divine abilities? The Alchemy Conference will be held in 2 years. Yuan Lingtan asked as he looked at Situ Ming with eyes that were brimming with hope. Yes, Situ Ming nodded and continued to say, what a coincidence. The Alchemy Conference will be held in the barren land that's adjacent to the wasteland. In the past alchemy conferences, the celestial alchemists from the wasteland were only there to watch the excitement. However, now that we have mastered Yuan, it's time for the wasteland to shine. With your cauldron heating speed, not to mention in the wasteland, even the other regions are no match for your speed. Yang Chong said before he laughed heartily. Exactly. Look for a celestial alchemist that's rich and boorish and compete with him in speed. You'll definitely win. Situ Ming said. A contest in heating the cauldron? Really? Yuan Lingtan was surprised. However, I'll need to put out something as valuable as a Duke-grade celestial method or divine ability if I want to compete or make a bet, right? In order to bet or compete, one would have to provide a valuable reward, right? Why would someone agree to a bet without sufficiently valuable rewards? Although Yuan Lingtan possessed the Chaos Divine Flame and was confident in his heating speed, he remained humble. He asked many questions to gain an understanding of the contests or bets. Gain an understanding